Gazebo chicken coop update time. Lots of stuff to go over here. Essentially, I don't want to say this wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, because I never thought it was going to be easy. And then again, I thought it was going to be easier than building something from scratch, and it still is definitely going to be easier than building something from scratch. Or should I say, building something this cool looking from scratch. What kind of a problem did we have? Well, the biggest issue was that I chose to keep these boards as my subfloor, or my inside surface of my, my floor itself. And then I found out that the rough opening that I needed, so they came over into the doorway here. I found out that the rough opening that I needed, using any of these other bays as reference, from here to there was 81 inches, which is typical. I don't know what I was thinking anyway. 81 inches is way in here. So that was my issue over here. I had to make my piece with notching up into this little dentile kind of feature that's on this thing to get the door in here. I started by cutting down, and I thought I'd set the door down on the top surface, the top edge of the rim joist here. So I cut these boards out, and then I realized it opens in, and that's not quite enough to clear. If you look at the slab, is about an inch. Well, that's the top. The slab is about 1.25 inches off the surface that it sits on. It's about 1 inch on the jamb itself, and then about 1/4 inch of clearance here, and that's 1.5 inches there. So not only would the slab not clear, even if I made it just barely clear, I realized I want to add a layer of heavy plastic to the floor here to make it easy to clean. And then you always have the bedding material, sawdust or hay and stuff on that too, so the door will be constantly jamming into that stuff if it's too close to the surface of the floor. So after I went to all the trouble to lower it, I came right back up again. In the end, is it a big deal? No. I got to put a 2x4 treated in here this way, which is a better situation for install. The ends of these boards, in the state that they were in, this area here, I mean, some of these places, where are we, depending on the angle too, this would have been just fine. If I'd have been on the straight 90-degree, if I'd have been perpendicular with my door face to the layout of the boards on there, this would have been just fine. But I ended up, given everything here, given the whole scenario, I had problems manipulating the skid steer around in here without tearing up the yard, and I had existing fence. So the angle of attack, yada yada yada, we ended up with the long angle ends of these boards at this location where we wanted the door. So we're better off with this 2x4 here, and he's treated. And I filled underneath him. I used these, I zigzagged my screws so I could tip him forward and back as I went and check him for level, and then I used the fat bead of that PL adhesive underneath him, so that wherever I chose to leave that with the screw adjusting, for level, by tomorrow it'll be rock hard frozen in place. So in nice shape with our door opening, although because I ended up going back up 1.5 inches, what happened here? I had made both of these, I'm going to call them a jack and a king, they're the same length. I'd made 4 of these pieces, and they ended up being 1.5 inches too short to be used once I move the door jamb up, so I have a double plate at the bottom. Whatever, it's fine. It's fine, and the rough opening is complete. So, that being said, usually when you look at a structure, it's going to be hard to see here. Notice how this shorter window and this shorter window, notice how the tops of them are all aligned. That's how windows are set in a residence for the most part. This is incorrect. This is just a rough scenario here, and this is what do you call it? The exception to the rule, that crap there. Usually a nice looking structure, the windows are hung from the same elevation that the top of the door is at. And this is a situation where if the windows are kind of taller than a lower door like this one here, you'd add the transom window that gets the top surface of the transom window onto the same elevation as those windows. So I have these windows all kind of in here, the rough openings, and again, don't know what I was thinking. I'm going to end up taking that window and taking him up as high as I can. I may take that short 2x4 right out of there. I may even notch this piece of the top plate right out and set the window opening up to that surface of that 2x4, so that the top edge of these, these windows are hung down from essentially what looks like the same elevation as this door. It will look better as a result of doing that. So I guess I've been under the weather. These are all my excuses. The beautiful Katie Merrill gave me a head cold or a sinus infection or something, so I was out here just snot pouring out of my face on my birthday 2 days ago, trying to enjoy myself, and I had a good time for the most part, but I made a bunch of errors. So today's error repair. Lastly, I love this this, like, again, dentile kind of a thing that goes on around here is an important factor of this structure. But I'm going to have to add one back on top when all is said and done, because we talked about before, let me get my tape out, we talked about before how, you know, if we take the surface of the siding up and stop there, and then we've got the top edge of that is kind of exposed. I thought about putting a 45-degree angle on it, I thought about putting sealant on it, and I thought, you know, we were talking about having venting and stuff in there. You know, I was talking a big game. What I think I'm going to end up doing is starting at the top level of this, which I don't know if you can see in there, but maybe we'll go in here. Notice how there's more space above. It's probably another 6 inches or so there from the top edge of this to the surface of the roof deck. That will end up being the vent area, whatever I end up doing there to vent the structure. So we'll start our sheets of sheet good material. I want to say T111, that's not what it is. I'll show you that stuff next. We're going to start that sheet there, and it's an 8-foot sheet, and it'll get us to here, you know, a couple inches down over the rim joist that's treated all the way around, and that will be a best case scenario. And then so I'm going to pop all these little sticks off. I noticed here, this is part of making my decision, when I lifted it up with the cat's paw, it slid right out. It wasn't a ring shank nail. It wasn't all seized in there and rusted. They're smooth. It lifted right off. So I'll lift them all off, careful, and I'll sheet right over and side right over it all. And then I'll come back with 2x4s again, like these, you know, there's 2 courses, lower and upper, and I'll make slightly longer runs, and I'll go around the sided structure with 2 courses of 2x4 again, and then I'll throw these back on, you know, on those, and we'll go back to looking the same as it used to do, but it'll have a completely homogeneous siding product from top to bottom, which will be better overall. Now the siding product, I had looked at T111. Now that is what I put on that barn, and I was raised to believe that that's the best, you know, cheap siding sheathing combination product. It's a real plywood product. It's a 5/8 thick product. That's that gray stuff there, and I was happy to find it kind of primed, and it'll last us a long time over there. Here's a sample here, you know, but this is just a primer on there, and you can kind of see in some light, you know, you can kind of see into it and stuff like that underneath. You know, it's kind of a shaggy and rough situation, so I don't know if you can see that, but you can see there. So you got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers. You got a 5/8 thickness. It's a real, you know, solid plywood, and everybody loves T111, the old timers. Now this is smart side. This is 3/8 of an inch thick, and this is an oriented strand product, an OSB, same kind of shiplap edge. It's coated, but it's like a candy shell, you know, it's a hard, thick shell that's on there. And from what I understand, those strands and stuff are pressed with marine glue and wax and stuff. I don't know how they make that work, but anyway, it's, you know, essentially a treated product in and of itself, and it's got that heavy plasticky coat on there. We're still going to paint it, but that's what we're going to use, and I've actually come to understand that it's got more longevity than T111, and it's lighter for being thinner, and it's cheaper. It was at least $10 cheaper a sheet, if not closer to 15. So that's what we will be putting on here, and we will be painting that. And so that's kind of our next step. Now that we're happy with the rough opening, I'm going to prove that. I'm going to pick this door up and set it in there. Ooh, the door. Got this for $20 and a 12-pack of Lean & Kugel's Summer Shandy. It was listed for $20 or the 12-pack. But I had to ask the guy to hold it because I wasn't going to be able to make it that day on Facebook Marketplace. So I said, hey, I'll bring you a 12-pack and $20. So that's about $37, $38 pre-hung 32-inch full light door, because we ran into a situation here. Given the location of these posts, I couldn't make a 38-inch opening for a 36-inch door. It's kind of a rule of thumb to make a 2-inch wider rough opening. So I could do a 34 here, but as you can see, there's 3 and 3. That's 40 to the outside edges of it, but I need 38, so I would have had to have like 1-inch board and 1-inch wide board here. It really isn't enough for a solid door installation. It would have been just too spindly and weird. So I got that for a song, essentially, and so we won't be using the door from the other side of the building. We'll be taking that out anyway. It did come with this one grid, so that'll go on there, and that'll make it kind of jive. You know, I wouldn't normally like that picture window style, like no grid in there at all. That's kind of ugly, kind of 90s. But with this in there, woo, you know, obviously with this in there, it breaks it up nicely, and it goes right along with the style of window that we've got. And I think this thing is going to be quite cutesy when we're all done. I think it'll turn a lot of heads, crank a lot of necks, get a lot of rubberneckers. So we got that door, that's our new plan. And so we'll move the window openings up, throw this siding product on here, put some flashing tape in the openings, and set those 1, 2, 3, the windows and the door in there, and we'll be in good shape. Kind of dried out, and I can start parading. I can start getting the chickens used to. I could change the run, get their auto door installed on this side, and start getting them used to coming and going in here while we get to a point where we're painting and trimming. And I got to throw a few more. I got to make some repairs to the cedar shake roof that got ripped off when we came down the street with this thing on the back of my buddy's dad's semi-trailer. It was a little too tall, and we were getting caught on the cable company's you know, cable that was crossing the road. We were getting hooked on it. It was pulling shingles off. Oh man, I've been out here in the sun all day. I'm sorry. Lots of rambling going on. When you come back, this will be looking real cool, I promise. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you.